Tank fans aren't going to like this one because it's not even close. Look, I cannot believe people are trying to say that Tank Davis, based off of one fight, is the face of boxing. Did he do great numbers? Yes. But we already knew it was going to be huge because of the backing that Ryan Garcia had and the backing that Tank Davis had. So we're going to go with the high estimates, which it's been argued that it did 1.2 buys, but I'm going to go with 1.4 million buys is what the Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia fight did. But even with that, y'all are going to see very quickly, it's not even fucking close who the face of boxing is. It's not even fucking close. So if we go pay-per-view for pay-per-view, and I'm going to do this two ways. I'm going to do Canelo's first six, and I'm going to do his most recent six, just so people are like, well, you're reaching into the past, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to keep it apples to apples both ways, so we're going to do it both ways. But let's start off with the first six pay-per-view buys that Canelo did versus the first six that Tank has now had, with the six being against Ryan Garcia. All right, on Tank's side, we have Tank Davis fought Leo Santa Cruz. They did 200K buys. He then fought Mario Barrios. They did 210K buys. Eastside Cruz did 150K buys. Rolly Romero did 250K views. Hector Garcia did 210K views. And then he fought Ryan Garcia, which we know did 1.4 million views. In total, Tank Davis has sold 2.42 million views. That's 2,420,000 pay-per-view buys, roughly. Now, let's look at Canelo's first six and see if they're close. Canelo's very first pay-per-view was against Floyd Mayweather Jr. It did 2.2 million. Uh-oh. If Canelo only gets 200,000 more buys, he's already beat Tank. What did he do in his next pay-per-view? He fought Alfred Angulo. It did 350K. He did 300K against Ursilanda Lara, 900K against Miguel Cotto, 600K against Amir Khan, and 300K against Liam Smith. That gives you a total of 4.65 million pay-per-view buys. Or in other words, 4,650,000 pay-per-view buys. And I'm only going off of buys because that's what people like to make the argument. This is why Tank is the cash cow. This is why he's the face of boxing, because of pay-per-view buys. Well, wait a minute. Look at what I just did. Tank Davis in his first six pay-per-views, with Ryan included, he only did 2.42 million. Canelo doubles that with, well, damn near doubles it. Not quite doubles it, but damn near doubles it with 4.65 million. So in the first six, Canelo beats him. But it gets better. Let's take away Floyd Mayweather's number, and we'll say that was all Floyd. Canelo had nothing to do with it, okay? So if we take away that 2.2 million that Floyd gave him and just use his first five pay-per-views, guess what he comes to? 2.45 million views. So he beats Tank Davis by 30,000 pay-per-view buys with one less fight. If we take Floyd Mayweather off the table, with one less fight, he still showed 30,000 more pay-per-view buys. So that's five pay-per-views versus six of Tank's. Canelo still beats him. But you know what? Let's go through all the numbers that Canelo has done, and we'll go over what we already went over. 2.2 million against Floyd, 350K. Alfred Angulo, 300K. Ursilanda Lara, 900K. Miguel Cotto, 600K. Amir Khan, 300,000. Liam Smith, 1 million. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., 1.3 million. Triple G, 1.1 million. Triple G2, 800K. Caleb Plant, 520K. Demetrius Bivol, 550K versus Triple G3 in a fight that nobody allegedly wanted to see, which means Canelo has done a total of 9,920,000 pay-per-view buys to Tank Davis's 2,420,000 pay-per-view buys. But like I said from the beginning, let's take Floyd off the table. That makes Canelo's total pay-per-view buys without the Floyd Mayweather fight, which was 2.2 mil. It makes it. Hold on one second. Well, that sucks. In the middle of doing this, and I had to step away. Where did I leave off? We were going over Canelo's total pay-per-views. I was saying that without the Mayweather involved, he sold 7.72 million pay-per-view buys, which means he did 7,720,000 pay-per-view buys without Floyd Mayweather on the table. But people want to say, oh, well, what has he done recently? What has he done recently? Well, then let's do it like this. We already know what Tank did in his last six, which is his first six. So all we have to do is take Canelo's last six. So his most recent six is what I mean by that. So that means we have to start at Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. for pay-per-view buys. That did 1 million. He's already halfway there to Tank Davis. Whenever he fought Triple G, that did 1.3 million. 1,300,000. He's only 100,000 pay-per-view buys in 2 fights behind Tank in Tank's last 6. Then he fought Triple G again for the second time, and that did 1.1 million. Now he's ahead of him. He's already ahead of him in 3. Then he had 800K against Caleb Plant, 520, 100K against Demetrius Bivol, and 550K against Triple G in the third one, again, that nobody wanted to see. So if we only take the last 6 pay-per-views that Canelo did, not all of them, just the last 6, that's 5.27 million pay-per-view buys, over over doubles what Tank has done. Over doubles it. It's not even close. It over doubles it. So you're looking at 5,270,000 pay-per-view buys. That's what Canelo's done in his last 6 to Tank Davis's 2,420,000 pay-per-view buys. It's not even close. It's not even a competition. In fact, we can knock Chavez off, which was 1 million. That would still leave him at 4.27 million. Without Chavez, the 6th fight, we can knock him the fuck off. And he could only do 1 pay-per-view buy with John Ryder, and he would still have more motherfucking pay-per-view buys than Tank Davis with his last pay-per-view with Ryan Garcia. He could literally do 1 pay-per-view buy, and we could take off Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., take that 1 million away, and Canelo still smashes him for most pay-per-view buys. So the fact of the matter is, yes, Tank did great. Yes, Tank is on pace to do very well. But he's nowhere close to Canelo. And we haven't even got into accolades. We haven't even got into fights. What's going on, regulator? How you doing? Good, I hope. We haven't got into the accolades. We haven't got into the fights. We haven't got into the legacy. We haven't got into any of that because we can already argue right now that Canelo has the best resume in boxing. Really, we don't have to argue. There's no argument. Nobody has a better resume than Canelo Alvarez currently in boxing. So in what aspect is Tank Davis the face of boxing? That's what I'm trying to understand. He hasn't done more pay-per-view buys. In the last 6 fights, or the first 6, Canelo dwarfs him. In fact, in the last 6, Canelo did more than he did in his first 6. So either way you look at it, Tank Davis is not even fucking close to Canelo's pay-per-view buys. They're not even fucking close. They're not even in the same stratosphere. Canelo's on the ground. This motherfucker's first class in the sky. It's not even close. Canelo is a single family home. Canelo is a motherfucking skyscraper in California. It's not close where they're at. They're not the same. And then my biggest thing, and it's funny that I'm making this video right now because people say I'm a Canelo hater. They say I'm a huge Canelo hater. But the one gripe and complaint that I've had about Canelo is I don't feel like he's fought the best of the divisions, and when he has, he hasn't beat them. However, that argument goes out the fucking window when you realize Tank ain't never fought the best of any division. Not one. He's a alleged, and I say alleged strongly, alleged 3-division champion, but I don't understand how. Because how can you be a legitimate champion at 140 pounds when there's already an undisputed champion there in Josh Taylor? If you wanted to be a legitimate champion at 140, why didn't you go for Josh Taylor? No, he went for Mario Barrios, who fought absolutely nobody that started at 122 pounds. So The same arguments I can make about Canelo, I can make them tenfold against Tank Davis. Why did Tank fight Ryan Garcia? Yes, it was a huge pay-per-view. We knew it was going to do huge numbers. Why didn't he go for undisputed against Devin Haney? Why isn't he calling out Devin Haney right now if Devin can beat Lomachenko? Speaking of Lomachenko, wasn't it Tank Davis whenever Loma was at 130 pounds and Floyd said, we're going to have Tank fight Loma? Wasn't Tank the one talking about they're trying to set me up? So if you're going to talk about Canelo ducking people like Benavidez, Andrade, then you need to fucking talk about Tank Davis ducking people like Lomachenko. And now it appears that he's ducking Devin Haney. Because I can guarantee you, Devin Haney is not going to let Tank Davis put all them fucking rehydration clauses on him. I can guarantee you the undisputed champion isn't going to play that AB bullshit side. Maybe Tank will get more of the split. Cool. But all that other shit, making it a teeny ass ring, making the motherfucker not being able to eat or drink water, that shit's not going to happen with Devin. So there's not going to be no unfair advantage going into that fight like he did against Ryan. But if we want to go with that, Canelo's done rehydration clause on people as well. So that's what I'm saying. There's no argument that you can make against Canelo that Tank has not already done as well. You want to use rehydration clauses against Canelo? Then you got to use it against Tank Davis. If you want to do creator weights, Tank Davis is busted weights. There's so many things here that make Canelo night and day, head and toe above Tank Davis is ridiculous. It's not even close. And the fact that people are trying to make it out like Tank Davis is the face of boxing because of one good pay-per-view is insane to me. Insane. Because like I said, we'll come back full circle to where we began. Canelo could literally do one pay-per-view buy. Just one person in the world buys his next fight. Even if nobody bought his next fight, he would still, in the last 6 fights, have more pay-per-view buys than Tank Davis, and it's night and day. So how is Tank Davis the face of boxing? Where is he the face of boxing? Has he beat more champions than Canelo? No. Has he beat more Hall of Fame fighters than Canelo? No. Has he been in the ring with more Hall of Fame fighters than Canelo? No. Has he been a champion in more weight classes than Canelo? No. Has he been undisputed like Canelo? No. Well, gosh damn. What does he hold over Canelo? What does he hold over Canelo? I guess you could argue that he's undefeated and Canelo's not. But at the same time, Canelo has double the amount of wins that Tank has fights. We're not even talking about total fights that Canelo's been in. He has double the amount of wins that Tank Davis has fights. So where is he better than Canelo? And if you want to use, well, Tank Davis is always a smaller fighter. Well, gosh damn it, Canelo got him there too. Because Canelo has fought guys a hell of a lot taller than him than Tank Davis has. So how the fuck is Tank Davis the face of boxing? He doesn't have the resume. He doesn't have the Hall of Fame wins. He doesn't make as much money. He hasn't sold as many pay-per-views. He hasn't been undisputed. He hasn't won as many belts. So again, I must ask the question, how the fuck is Tank Davis the face of boxing? If he's the face of boxing, I'm not saying I'm a boxing fan anymore. Like, this shit don't make sense to me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Where does it make sense? Because the only one making sense in boxing, the most of it, is Canelo. He's stacking that sense up. It's not close. It is not close. On any level, on any argument that you bring up, what are you going to say? Oh, but Tank Davis has more knockouts. And then I'm going to ask you against who? What the fuck does knocking out a Mario Barrios mean when Canelo's getting in there with people like Floyd Mayweather Jr., Miguel Cotto, like Sergey Kovalev, who you could argue what you want to argue. But Canelo is fighting top tier fighters, undefeated fighters like Billy Joe Saunders, that's actually been a champion in 2 weight classes before Canelo fought him. A 2-division champion, undefeated. Unlike Ryan Garcia, who was a champion nowhere. A Callum Smith, who was also undefeated. Like, where? He took, how many O's this dude took? Let me see. He took Plants. He took Saunders. He took Triple G's. He took Callum Smith. I'm trying to think who else. I think he was the first guy that beat Liam Smith, who just beat Eubank Jr. I remember he beat bootleg fucking Mayweather, who was undefeated. Austin Trout. These are big names that he took O's from. Who is Davis taking O's from? Hector Garcia? A guy moving up? A guy moving up. That's what we're giving credit for. He's beating smaller men moving up, where Canelo doesn't beat smaller men moving up. He moves up to fight bigger men and beats them outside of Beaver. So where in all of this does it make sense that Tank Davis is the face of boxing? In what aspect? How? He's just not. It's not competitive. It's not close. It's just not fucking close. It's not close. I guess Rolly Romero, that's a better win than Callum Smith. Mario Barrios is a better win than Billy Joe Saunders. Ryan Garcia is a better win than Caleb Plant. I'm just trying to think in my mind the O's that he's taken versus Canelo's O's that he's taken. And you mean to tell me Tank has better wins? No, this shit's not even close. I'm not going to stay on for much longer. Unfortunately, there was a big pause in the middle of this live show. I'm going to have to, I don't know, save the video, edit the video, condense the video, bring it all back together. Going to be taking what's going on, Charles D? Welcome to the chat. But yeah, I just want somebody before I go, which I'm about to go very soon, to tell me how the fuck Canelo is not the face of boxing and Tank Davis is. Just explain to me what makes Tank Davis the face of boxing. Because if we're going to go by big pay-per-view numbers, Canelo did 2.2 with Floyd. That dwarfs 1.4, which is arguably 1.2 from other sites. He did 1.3 with Triple G. He did 1.1 with Triple G. He did 1 million with Chavez Jr. Like, what are we talking about right now? How many times has Canelo done $1 million pay-per-views? Excuse me, million buy pay-per-views. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times in his career, he sold over 1 million pay-per-views. Tank's done it once. How many times has Tank sold over 500,000 pay-per-views? Only the Ryan fight. How many times has Tank sold over 400,000 pay-per-views? Only the Ryan fight. How many times has Tank Davis sold over 300,000 pay-per-views? Only the Ryan fight. How many times has Canelo sold over 300,000 pay-per-views? Every fucking pay-per-view he's had. Every one. Every one. Every single one has been over 300,000 buys. Tank's only had one over 300,000, and that was against Ryan Garcia. Like I said, it's not even close. Canelo, well, we'll start with Tank. We're going to rehash real fast because people are joining. Tank Davis has done 2.42 million or 2,420,000 total pay-per-view buys. In Canelo's last 6 fights, he's done 5.27 million pay-per-view buys. That's 5,270,000 pay-per-view buys, over doubling what Tank has done in the last 4. In his total career, he's done 9,920,000 pay-per-view buys, damn near 10 million pay-per-view buys. It's not close. It's not close. How has Tank ever outperformed Canelo? Where is he ever outperformed Canelo? I don't know. You know, people keep talking about Tank Davis could end a fight in one punch. It's one punch. It's one punch. Oh, one punch. Although we've seen two people make it the distance with Tank, but he's got the power to stop everybody. But so did Deontay Wilder. Because I remember Deontay Wilder had a very weak resume. And then he got into a ring with a guy named Tyson Fury, and he couldn't stop him 3 times, and he lost all 3 times. I'm looking at Devin Haney like Tyson Fury. He's taller than Tank. He knows how to jab. He's a very good mover and boxer. What happens when the knockout doesn't happen for Tank? What happens? Because the dude barely throws punches. He's the least active fighter out of all the fucking heavyweights, meaning he throws the least amount of fights. Why did I say heavyweights? Out of all the champions, because I was talking about heavyweights. He's the least active fighter out of all the champions in boxing from every weight class. He throws the least amount of punches. He lands the least amount of jabs out of all champions in boxing. Again, it's not even close. It's not a competition. He's so far behind him that it's ridiculous that this has even been brought up. Where I got my pay-per-view numbers, the link is in the description. You can click there, see what Canelo did. Click there, see what Canelo did. Both links are from the same source, so people can't say I'm being biased, trying to pick one that makes Canelo look good and Tank look bad. No, I pulled it from the same website. So there is no bias going on with these numbers. It's just not. The fact of the matter is Canelo dwarfs him in pay-per-view sales. And it doesn't matter how many he does against John Ryder. It's irrelevant because he's so far ahead of him that he could do 0 and he would still be the face of boxing. With that, we're going to end the stream here. This is just a short one. I was going to go live longer, but I'm just not feeling up to it. Y'all have a good night. And on the playback, let me know what you think. Please, somebody, anybody out there, change my mind. How the fuck is Tank Davis the face of boxing?